Hi, I'm Dr. Taylor Hartman. We're back for another segment, this one on the blues. So we're talking about the blue personality. And you may have remembered I talked about the reds and the blues are the heavyweights and the yellows and the whites are the lightweights. All that means is reds and blues spend their entire life trying to change others and control them. And whites and yellows spend their entire life refusing to be controlled. So it makes for a very interesting game between the reds and the blues and the whites and the yellows. But blues are the most controlling of all the personalities. Now, I'm a little biased. I'm married to a blue. I've been married to her for many, many years, and I adore her. Blues are the worst and the best. And what I mean by that is they're so emotion-based. They're so caring about everything that goes on. For example, what I'm wearing right now, a blue would think, why aren't you wearing a blue shirt? You're doing a blue segment. They're very precise as to how they like things to be, and they're like everybody else to appreciate the things that they do. The two things you need to do with the blue, by the way, is understand them and appreciate them. The problem is other colors don't care to hear the whole story, which blues like to tell. So it makes it hard for blues then to feel totally understood. Blues are the givers. They are so willing to make life about others. In fact, they're pleasers. They'll often give their life up for their children or for a boss because they find enjoyment and fulfillment from pleasing other people. On the other hand, blues love to connect. That's their driving core motive, is to connect, intimacy. They want to share. Blues like to reveal what's going on in their lives. They don't hide things like other personalities. Reds hide their insecurities very tightly. Whites don't talk. They don't share much, so you don't really know what's happening in their life. And yellows would like to pretend they're hiding, but they slip up and they say things. The blues, they want to share. In fact, they have a hard time with people that won't open up and reveal themselves because blues are so willing to do that. One of the greatest strengths of blues is their vulnerability. They will let you know who they are. They will let you know what they're struggling with. They will let you know their hopes and their dreams. And blues want people to give them feedback. They want advice and ideas to improve. They're great at criticism. It hurts them, but they want to know what they need to do to improve. And blues are very compassionate. They cannot just let something slide. When they see the news, they're the ones that are sending in 10, 20 bucks here to help somebody out because their home was hit by a boulder in excavation, and they feel bad for these people that lost their home. Or they're the people that are thinking, my life would be more meaningful if I was working at a soup kitchen or helping the homeless. They're always thinking of things they need to be doing to make someone else's life more appropriate. My wife is like such a great grandma because she's always thinking about her grandkids and their holidays and how to make them happier and make them feel special. Blues remember names. They remember dates and events. And when, for example, my kids call, I always say, talk to mom, because she'll remember all the details and tell me. But if I talk to them, I'll forget the things that need to be told, and then my wife gets upset because she was left out. Blues are very sincere. They can't really get jokes very well. I have to tell you this. It's like you tell a joke to a blue, and they look at you like, well, that couldn't have happened. And you're like, it's a joke. It's funny. Well, no, it would be funnier if it were real. So blues are very sincere. And what that means is if you're a liar, you're dishonest, you're illegitimate, blues will struggle with you. They don't understand why you cannot be defined and clean and honest and legitimate. And the blues are kind of like the Boy Scout code: thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. That's how they live their life. But they also want everybody else to live the same way. I always say that blues live here and we live here. And they think that's the gutter and we think it's home. So raising the game, always trying to lift the game, is very hard for other personalities because they always feel like the blue is judging them for not measuring up. It's funny because blues and reds, by the way, both are very controlling, but the blues are more controlling morally and reds are more controlling intellectually. So the reds will give in if it makes sense. Pragmatically, the blues will not give in. They may act as though it's okay, but unless they really believe it here, they're not budging. They won't let go. Blues are very thoughtful. Like they think about your birthday. They think about things they can do to make you happy. They're very quality oriented. If you're going to do something in life, do it right. Which leads me to one of the most biggest frustrations I have with blues is they are perfectionists. Like if it's not perfect, they're not okay. And I'm like, it's great. It's wonderful. No, could be better. Well, okay. There are some things that it makes sense to be more quality driven. I agree with that. But on the other hand, some of the stuff blues are so committed to, that are so important to them, they're not that important to other people. And they take the blues out of the enjoyment of the day, and they also push people away from the blues who are tired of feeling criticized. Blues are very nurturing. I've worked with lots of blues who would rather coach than play a sport. They love developing people, nurturing them, as opposed to doing it themselves. Whereas a red may like to actually play the game, the blue would like to teach somebody to play the game. I can still remember the time I taught my young son to drink water out of a creek up in the mountains. And what a joy it was to share that moment with him when he learned how to drink out of a creek outside. So that's something the blue personalities must do on a regular basis, and they feel such an enjoyment from feeling connected to them that way. Very committed. One of the biggest problems I have with blues is they are so loyal that even when it's not the right thing to be loyal to, they stay there. I've seen them stay in jobs, I've seen them stay in relationships, long after they should have let go. But they don't because they feel uncommitted. So one of the problems that I have with blues a great deal is they're so committed and loyal that they'll often stay even loyal beyond when it's healthy for them. They'll stay in a marriage far longer than it's healthy, even when they're being abused. They'll stay loyal to a boss who doesn't really appreciate them. But they are very committed people and loyal to the individual, not so much the institution. For example, reds are loyal to the marriage institution or to a work setting, whereas blues are loyal to the person inside that setting. One of the negative things for blues, though, is they can be very self-righteous. Like they really will look at people and think, how come you're dressed like that? Or that's a problem for you. Or I would never have acted that way. Because blues are very well-mannered. It bothers them when people act inappropriate. And they can be very hard to please. They struggle with self-esteem. Blues have always been hard on themselves. They're never quite satisfied with what they do. And then it kills them when, after they've given all this heart and commitment to something, when others don't appreciate the work that they've done. Blues are also quite moody. Like they can be up today and then down tomorrow. And they are needy. They need you to let them know that you care about them and you appreciate them. Blues are very intricate to life. Like life for a blue is very personal. It is not just a detached experience. It's something very personal to them. So blue personalities will often struggle with if they're feeling depressed, feeling down on themselves, how they lift themselves up, and then they feel guilty because they've been a burden for you or difficult for you. Sometimes it's hard to really know what a blue is feeling because they don't want to hurt feelings. They don't want to say something that they actually see because it may hurt somebody else. So typically a blue will tell somebody else their concern and hope that it'll get back to you rather than telling you to your face. Whereas the red will tell you directly, here's what I think. Blue personalities, remember, love to be committed. They love to be loyal. They crave connection and intimacy. And they want to make life the best. They always want it to be better than it is, abundant. I think of Walt Disney and what he did with Disneyland. Now Roy, his brother, was the red who handled the money, and Walt was the creative genius who created the environment and the ambiance. And that's how blues feel about everything they do in their life. They want it to be a romantic relationship. They want it to be a quality of presentation. They want it to be right when things are done. They want to be fit and do it the right way. It's not enough just to be fit. You have to do it the right way. So that's the essence of when you're dealing with a blue personality. So you blues, you think about this because you're the intense ones. You're very intense, emotionally intense. Things matter to you terrifically, and you don't let go very easily. Forgiveness is a tough one for you. So think about that in terms of your life. If you have any questions, #AskDrHartman. I'll see you next week. Very best of living.